Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. By the time you guys are seeing this video, I should have already competed in today's Ever-Chosen Invitational. Hopefully I did reasonably well. Honestly, kind of the way I'm looking at it this way, I was listening to a podcast by one Pat McAfee. For those of you guys who aren't familiar, he's an American football player, well, former American football player. He's a punter, super funny guy, stand-up comedian, has a great show about sports. And he had a quote on there today, and I'm probably misspeaking it, but something to the effect of, there's a lot of other people who would love to be in your place, and ultimately you're playing a game, right? So just try and enjoy the stage, try and have fun, and that's kind of my goal for the Ever-Chosen Invitational. So hopefully it went well. Regardless, I'm sure I had a great time, and I'm going to be showing you guys a couple of my practice games leading up. So in my first initial round of matchups, I actually wasn't playing the High Elves, but it's always good practice to get a nice micro-intensive faction like the High Elves just in general. So we're going to be taking them up against the Empire. I've got Regina Dia here, I apologize, Regina, if I'm mispronouncing that, as my opponent here. She's going to be taking the Empire, so we're going to get straight to it. For the builds here, I've got double Illyrian Reavers on this side, same on this side. Again, two Handmaidens with Techless, as you guys probably have come to expect from me as the High Elves. I'm a big fan of this leadership core. Flamespire Phoenix, again, fire damage and more. We've got plenty of white lines, two white lines, plenty of spearmen in the front line, and a couple of archers as well. For Regina's Empire, she's got some outriders here, swordsmen, Reichsguard over on this side, one unit of Demigryph Knights with Balthazar Gelt leading the way, spearmen with shields and swordsmen, lots of Empire State troops, three units of Huntsmen, and the Death Jacks. We've also got spearmen with shields and a couple more units of Reichsguard, or Empire Knights? Yeah, Empire Knights. So you can see I'm going to do a quick hit and run charge with these Reavers. It did cost me really dearly though on this unit because of those Hunters. They obviously were stalked, did not see them on the approach, and I just took a ton of anti-large damage to the face, so that was bad. Another hit and run charge over here. I'm trying to see if I can't draw any of Regina's Cav out and away from this kind of type formation she's got here, but it doesn't look like she's going to bite, so I'm going to go ahead and swing my entire formation and just try and crash into this side and roll up the flank here. See if we can't get a good engagement where we maybe can take advantage of Techless Bound Fiery Convocation, or at the very least to try and overload one side so we can break units without having to fight this entire Empire army at the same time, because I am significantly outnumbered here. If we take a look, 1,200 enemy unit models to just about 900 for myself, so I do need to be a bit careful about how I choose to take these engagements. You can see the Phoenix taking a little bit of damage there. Not the biggest deal in the world. It does have that innate heal, and I've also got regrowth on Techless just in case. Yeah, we're going to get nice and patient here. Just slowly start to get the melee infantry fight underway. You can see the spearmen moving in to engage against Empire State Troop swordsmen. Not the most cost-effective engagement for them, but we do need to get it started somehow. White Lions, meanwhile, will get in, and obviously we'll trade a lot more cost-effectively against those state troops. Actually have a pretty decent niche in this matchup. Meanwhile, the two Handmaidens so far just poking away at enemy Cav, picking off a unit model here or there. Over on this side, I'm falling back a little bit with these Reavers. We've got both the Handmaidens over on this side as well. So far, so good. Phoenix is going to come around, try and find a home here, but there's just, all these Huntsmen, the Outriders, and everything else. It's going to be tough, but here comes the Fiery Convocation from Techless. This unit of Swordsmen was already struggling pretty badly against those White Lions. That glittering robe there doesn't help them out a whole lot, but that Bound Fiery Convocation just wrecks through multiple units of Empire Infantry. I'm able to get a nice break here and start to respond to this force that's now plowing in the side here. You can see those Empire Knights get a very good charge on those White Lions there. A few of those Empire units just straight up shatter those, so that's going to be very advantageous for me. Over here, just falling back, again, trying to get these Cav away from this supporting situation. There are the Demigryph Knights here, so I do need to be a little bit careful, but I figure with the two Handmaidens and with some support, I should be able to take them on in melee. Meanwhile, over here, my archers are getting a little bit caught up, so we're going to try and screen out with the spears here. You can see the High Elf Spearmen moving in to engage the Knights as I kind of move my archers to try and get them out of that situation. Over here, the Phoenix just dropped straight down onto the Outriders since they were directly below him. He's going to get some good damage in here, hopefully maybe terrify them away. Reichsguard coming in to respond, though, and because the Flamespire Phoenix doesn't have a whole lot of armor, only 30 armor on this bad boy, he is going to take quite a bit of damage from those Reichsguard, so not the best situation. Over here, though, looks like a big old Transmutation of Lead going to be neutering the stats of those the White Lions and the Spearmen and more as they're kind of caught up in a bunch of Empire troops. Not the best for me, but we have managed to get both these Empire Knights mostly bogged down with, Spearmen, White Lions. We also rear charged with some regrouped Reavers here as well, so that's pretty good. And here come the Handmaidens, double Handmaiden. just going straight in against the Demigryph Knights. It is a pretty risky play to just go straight in like this, but I figured with the two of them together, you can see also there's some rallying Reavers there coming back from route as well, and we are trying to extricate the Flamespire Phoenix to come up and around here also, and I figured, you know, with the Reavers helping to soak some hits, maybe the Handmaidens can get some work done. Meanwhile, over here, it looks like the Reavers do get seen off there by the concerted fire of the Huntsmen. That being said, this one unit of White Lions does get back, get into the Death Jacks, and start to cut them to pieces. They can then, you know, start to move on to some of these other ranged units potentially here. But yeah, the Demigryph Knights in the back, you can see they have taken a ton of damage from those Handmaidens, and the rear charge from the Reavers, everything else, what you would think would be a very advantageous engagement for them. They just haven't been able to win out there, supporting Reiksguard a little bit late there to the party, but yeah, the Demigryph Knights unfortunately not able to hold their leadership together there. Did get some really good damage on the Handmaidens both, but of course I can continue to heal them with Teclis, who's also hanging around that pocket. Meanwhile, over here, a really nice charge from these Outriders going to interrupt my High Elf Archers, not allow them to continue firing. And the Phoenix is also getting quite low. We just came over for a few bombing runs of the Flaming Phoenix Feces to try and bomb out this pocket a little bit here, or maybe we're about to do so. But regardless, I do need to be careful. Again, the low armor with the anti-large of the Huntsman arrows means that he'll take a ton of damage here, but I believe I already dropped the bombs there. I'm now going to be coming over to try and terrify away these Empire Knights. I did end up losing my Reavers in this engagement, no surprises there. The Demigryph Knights also came back from route, so looks like they might be going after Teclis, but again, the two Handmaidens here just holding for an eternity against these Reiksguard. Doing a great job there. Balthazar still just hanging around, but still very even. After 5 solid minutes of slugging, you can see the bounce power still dead even. We've got High Elf Spearmen in a pitched engagement, get some state troops here. These archers get seen off by the massive Empire fire there, but the Spearmen pursuing these Empire Knights, not really letting them get any rest here. And yeah, we'll see. Another fiery convocation from Teclis, just going to rip through these state troops here and do enough damage to probably rout those units. It also clips a few of those Huntsmen as well. So yep, all of those Empire state troops just immediately rout from that shock damage there. So that allows me to free up a few more of these units here. Meanwhile, in this pocket, you can see the Reiksguard charging in. My Reavers aren't really able to hold the support here, so it's just going to be the Handmaidens and the Phoenix. Unfortunately, you can see the Demigryph Knights coming back again. I do have a handful of Spearmen that might be able to come in and help, but we'll see. We're going to go ahead and just direct charge into the Demigryphs. It does look like their charge got interrupted by those spears, which is great for me. But yeah, the Phoenix, again, with the armor piercing of the Phoenix, the anti-large of the two Handmaidens should be enough. One of the Handmaidens, it looks like, actually just shattered there, potentially. I'm not sure where her banner went, so she may have actually just shattered or been killed there by the Demigryph Knights, but now you can see, oh no, looks like she came over here. We were able to catch Balthazar in between Teclis and the Handmaiden here, get a pretty decisive engagement there to take him out. So yeah, with Balthazar off the field, that has finally turned the balance of power in my favor, and what has just been an absolutely wild across-the-field fight. This one unit of White Lion, still relatively healthy, having chased off a bunch of units, can now come in the late game here and try and clean things up. Got a handful of archers here as well, going to be firing into those Outriders. Quite a few of these units will probably be able to rally here, but the death of Balthazar, he is still technically alive, but the routing of Balthazar is obviously going to be a big problem for the Empire's leadership, but we'll see. Still quite a few Huntsmen left on the field. And the Phoenix isn't looking too hot. Losing my source of terror is going to be pretty bad, but I'm comfortable enough, you know, with my lead at this point. Outriders look like they've used up the rest of their ammo, so they're going to be forced to come in melee against these archers here as they unleash a handful more arrows in there, picking off a couple unit models as they approach. And yeah, in this center engagement, you can see the White Lions pushing through, trying to get, again, onto those Huntsmen here. Teclis and the Handmaiden together are able to rout off those swordsmen. The second Handmaiden still hanging around, still has enough health to get in here and get some work done. Here she comes. Oh, takes a few arrows from the Huntsman, but she's going to get in here, interrupt this group from the side, and you can see the White Lions are fast enough to actually keep up with these Huntsmen here. We drop a nice Flock of Doom from Teclis as well, and that is going to do enough damage to actually trigger army losses just about. This unit of Huntsmen gets caught up by the White Lions. And yeah, kind of funny. I guess the White Lions are sort of like huntsmen for the High Elves, right? Like their whole thing is that they're like really renowned hunters and woodsmen and stuff. But anyway, very fun battle. Very well played to Regina. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. I'm loving Teclis right now. Between the nets, The Fiery Convocation being pretty useful now. Just in general, he's just a great character. A lot of versatility, especially when paired with the double Handmaidens and the Phoenix. I have been having a lot of success with that. Front line, I mean, White Lines I'm not the biggest fan of as a unit, but they do well enough here. They trade really nicely into most state troops, so yeah, I quite like that here. For Regina's build, I definitely agree with going super wide here. I might change up a few things here or there, but I mean, this is the right paradigm to have against the High Elves, certainly, because they do struggle against builds like this. They just can't really bring enough numbers to compete, but thankfully I was able to do enough here to pull out the win. And I've actually got one more High Elf game to show you guys, so let's get to it. Alright, and we're back. This time, instead of a Fire Phoenix, I've got 2 Frostheart Phoenixes. So today in the Everchosen, I played Bretonnia versus Aerocrastic's High Elves, and I wanted to try this matchup from the reverse just to get some practice of what the High Elves could potentially bring to help counter Bretonnia. It's generally thought of to be a pretty tough matchup for the High Elves, but let's see what I've got here. I've got 2 Frostheart Phoenixes. They do magic damage, and they have reasonably heavy armor, so they're decent against Grail tier units. They also have this Blizzard Aura, which is a minus 9 melee attack, that's hard to say, minus 10% AP damage in an area of effect, which obviously will be quite nice, and in addition with Techless, if we have over 50% mana left, then we get this 12% damage resistance buff as well. 2 Silver Helms, 2 Handmaidens, a box of spears around a Bolt Thrower. As for Wicked-E, he's my practice partner this time, or affectionately known as Wicked, Wicked-E, the community moderator for pretty much everyone's channels. He's here with a couple Royal Pegasus Knights, got some Grail Knights as well, Knights Errant, whole lot of peasants, including mobs, spearmen, and some bowmen as well. All very good stuff out here, Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis and the Fey Enchantress leading the way, so good stuff. You can see right off the bat, I'm going to be throwing bolts at any expensive cav that I can get my hands on. Obviously, don't want to shoot through the trees too much, so we're going to switch off these Grail Knights in just a moment and start to go after some of these other, units of cav. But if we can hit the Pegasus Knights, we could potentially do some good damage, but I am a bit worried. Obviously, the Pegasus Knights in a 1v1, I believe, would beat the Frostheart Phoenix. I actually haven't tried that. The Frostheart does have some attributes that make it a pretty good counter for the Royal Pegasus Knights, and that's kind of what I was thinking. I just don't necessarily want to take a direct engagement with them, but we are able to pick off a unit model from that unit of Pegasus Knights, which is always nice. Can't heal that model back, of course. And now we're going to switch back over to the Grail Knights, start picking off more units there. And you can see the Handmaidens shot there just picked off a unit model as well. So between the Handmaidens and the Bolt Thrower, we're able to just kind of continuously pick away here in the early game and just force Wicked into some engagements. Silver Helm's going to double tap on this Peasant Mob here and just pull away. See if we can't draw some of his cav into an unfavorable situation here. But Peasant Archers moved forward and are going to start shooting probably at the artillery crew or maybe even the spearmen. Regardless, they'll be generating great value whatever they shoot at. But yeah, just going to keep the Bolt Thrower, keep the Handmaidens firing as much as possible, and try not to get caught in a really terrible engagement. And of course, as soon as I say that, you can see that this Handmaiden is here, sort of scattered out from the rest of her troops. Granted, this Peasant Mob's just about routed from the Silver Helms and so on, but yeah, this Handmaiden as well going to get caught out here. The Royal Pegasus Knights and the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis going to get in here and start to get a surround on her. I drop in some spears for support. The Peasant Mobs are going to start to make their way forward as well, so just a general engagement getting underway. You can see the 2 Silver Helms I've pulled back here to try and defend this area, and Techless is in a bit of trouble getting chased by Grail Knights and Knights Errant. So I'm going to actually side charge in with the Silver Helms, and because the Grail Knights didn't get their charge, we actually get a reasonably favorable engagement here. Meanwhile, you can see I'm using the Frostheart Phoenix again, just to go after the Pegasus, debuff their stats, help kind of stand in this pocket and debuff them, but we did lose a Handmaiden. Granted, I've got a regrowth on her, so she should be coming back from route with that extra HP, but I definitely need those Handmaidens as much as possible into this late game. But yeah, Silver Helms, with the support of the High Elf Spears here, actually able to beat those Knights Errant and are trading really efficiently with those Grail Knights as well. We drop the Phoenixes down into this pocket to get a nice terror route. Quite a few of the peasants get terrified away, and that also forces a great blob for this Fiery Convocation as well, which is going to rip apart some peasants and even does some really significant damage to those units of cavalry as well. So really nice stuff there. Looks like a Flock of Doom from Techless, going to be, again, just doing a little bit of area of effect magic damage, really starting to get that terror route going, and all of those units get terrified away, which is great for me. I can bail out my Handmaiden, get her back to safety, The bolt thrower, unfortunately, is completely shut down at this point. No surprises there, just got routed off without getting too much work done, but it's more just about drawing Bretonnia into an unfavorable situation. These Silver Helms are most definitely in an unfavorable situation, as they are trying their best. They did a good job initially in that fight, but now the tide is obviously turning against them quite heavily with the Pegasus Knights landing and the Grail Knights and so on, but we're doing okay. The two Phoenixes, again, my opponent's Wicked's focusing a lot of his Peasant Archer fire on them, which is great for me because they, you know, they have heavy enough armor that they should be able to resist. And you can see here this engagement where I have the two Handmaidens shooting from the ground and the two Phoenixes fighting in the air against just a single unit of Pegasus Knights. I mean, obviously, this is just more resources than what the Pegasus Knights can handle by themselves, and we are able to just about pick this unit off. The other unit of Pegasus Knights gets back up into the air. Looks like they're going to come over here to maybe try and snipe Teclis, so I want to keep that from happening if I can, obviously. We're going to come in with the two Phoenixes and just body block these Pegasus Knights here. And again, rinse and repeat, same as before. The Handmaidens will be firing from below. Frostheart Phoenixes fighting in the air against these Pegasus Knights, and between all of this, we should be able to get a reasonably favorable engagement here. You can see the Phoenixes are taking some damage, but actually are doing very well in this engagement also. We've got a problem, though. All that's up in the air, and guess what? There's Grail Knights on the ground. They're going to catch these Handmaidens, stop them up from firing, and also, because the Handmaidens don't have much armor, they're going to be pretty vulnerable here to taking damage from the Grail Knights. At this point, though, Teclis is running for his life. Wicked's doing a really concerted effort trying to get Teclis here, which is, you know, obviously very smart. Teclis still has a lot of Winds of Magic left and still throw regrowths and stuff all over the place. Balance of power still pretty close at this point, if maybe slightly in my favor, but because of the fiery convocations, we've been able to somewhat win the infantry fight in some pockets. It definitely wasn't as one-sided as it could have been otherwise, but Teclis able to get away here. Here, the Silver Helms stop up the Grail Knights and more, and yeah, Silver Helms, with the support of the Handmaiden, will actually do okay, but obviously the Silver Helms themselves wilting very, very quickly against much more elite cavalry. Peasant Archer fire continuing to rain in as well. Looks like it does actually go after those Silver Helms, and yeah, the two Handmaidens, again, very low. Regrowth on one more of them to keep her in the pocket. Her fighting there, but again, Teclis going to have to run for his life from these Pegasus Knights as they absolutely have his number. They really, really want to just finish him off. Another really nice fiery convocation in the distance there just rips apart these peasants. And the few companions that remain, I mean, granted, they have fire resistance, so they won't take a whole lot from that. But, yeah, over here, the Pegasi, again, trying to get Teclis. We pop that Potion of Troy, try and keep him fighting here. And we've still got both Handmaidens and both Phoenixes. They've all taken quite a bit of damage, but not a single one of them has been finished off, right? At least up to this point. It does look like this second Handmaiden's probably going to go down here. But just a mad, mad scramble to try and keep Teclis alive into this late-game situation as the other single entities for the High Elves, the Phoenixes and the Handmaidens, try and finish out the win here. We'll see. Balance power is starting to turn slightly in my favor, but obviously losing Teclis would bring that right back. But the Fey Enchantress, likewise, has taken a lot of damage, although on her Pegasus, she is more or less immune to the Phoenixes, since they do magic damage and she's got heavy magic resistance. You can see she gets in here. Is she going to actually finish off Teclis? Maybe one of the Grail Knights will actually finish off Teclis. Oh man, he's just so low at this point. But yeah, you can see again, the Phoenix doesn't do a whole lot of damage to her. But since we were finally able to get enough separation, I'm going to go ahead and net the Fey Enchantress. And again, the Phoenixes won't do a whole lot. We're actually going to pull them back up into the air and just leave the Handmaiden to do the work here. And the Handmaiden, of course, no magic damage in melee, anti-large. It doesn't need the armor piercing against a light target like the Fey. This is an ideal situation for a Handmaiden to be in. So she's going to continue to fight there. Teclis, though, is still in trouble because of these Pegasus Knights. The Phoenixes are just about able to beat the Pegasus Knights back. And now, finally, we get a good rear charge with Teclis on the Fey. And that is going to be too much for her as she routes. With her routing, that's going to put a significant dent in the balance of power for Bretonnia. And these few Grail Knights that remain, they're going to charge in here, try and finish off this last Handmaiden. But, I mean, she's got enough stats. She can probably stand and fight here, despite the fact she has basically no HP left. So yeah, very, very close battle, very pitched at the end of the day, and both of our forces just completely tattered, but I was able to steal a win once again with Teclis double Handmaiden, this time going a bit frosty on the Phoenixes with double Frostheart Phoenix instead of just a single fire. And yeah, I do think, again, this is a pretty tough matchup for the High Elves, generally perceived that way, but I do think that the Frostheart Phoenixes are a really nice tool here. The area of effect debuff, the magic damage, the terror, and the fact that they have heavy armor. 80 armor is pretty decent. It's not amazing, but all things considered, they are a pretty good counter for like Grail tier units like Grail Knights or Royal Pegasus Knights. They definitely proved that here. XP Chevron, 30 kills there. No XP Chevron, but still tanked out a ton of damage. Teclis himself, again, tons of kills against the humans. 175 with the 2 bound fiery convocations. Again, getting great value. Likewise, the Handmaidens didn't get a whole lot of kills, but a lot of these kills are actually very high value units, like the Pegasus Knights and, you know, the Companions and so on. Only 19 kills for the Bolt Thrower. Probably should have ended up using the XP Chevrons on other units, but hey, it got a little bit of work done, and at the very least forced Wicked to come to me. So definitely advantageous. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this High Elf practice double cast. If I won today, then I'll be playing in the semis tomorrow. I don't know if that's the case. But regardless, big thanks for all your guys' support. It's meant a lot to me, you know, seeing all the kind words and all the good lucks and everything like that. So you guys are awesome. Keep it up, and I will do my part to keep it up as well. So thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.